Friends, this is the story of a woman named Emily. Around 30 years old, living in a small village, she stays with her 2 children in a simple shack on the village outskirts. Emily's husband passed away in an accident years ago, and now she raises her kids alone. That day, Emily went to the nearby town of Riverside. The reason was her son Ethan's birthday was coming up, and she wanted to buy him a nice shirt. The sun was setting, and Riverside's market was buzzing with people. Shops were decorated with colorful clothes, and everyone was busy shopping. Emily stopped in front of an old clothing store called Harmony Threads. The shop was small but packed. Inside sat a 60-year-old shopkeeper named George. His white beard, slightly worn clothes, and a dusty, tilted counter painted a perfect picture of a rural shop. When Emily walked in, she saw another woman, Emma, looking at dresses. Emily said to George, "George, show me a good shirt for my Ethan, and oh, I also want to look at a scarf for myself." George smiled and said, "Oh, Emily, you always ask for something special. Tell me, what color do you like?" Emily laughed and said, "George, you're the expert, you figure it out." Emma spoke up, "George, pack my dress first, then help her out." George wrapped Emma's dress, and she left. Now, it was just George and Emily in the shop. Emily, chuckling, said, "Hurry up, George. I've got to cook dinner for the kids tonight." George laughed, opened an old box, and started showing her some scarves. But Emily didn't like any of them. She said, "New George, don't you have anything new? These all look old." George threw up his hands and said, "All right, Emily. Let's go to the upstairs storage. I've got some new stuff up there that I haven't put out yet." Emily asked, a bit surprised, "Upstairs? Can't you show me something down here?" "I'm running late." But George insisted, "Come on, Emily. There's some special scarves and new clothes up there. Just take a look." Emily hesitated, but thinking of her kids, said, "All right, show me quickly. I'm short on time." The upstairs storage was a small room. Piles of clothes lined the walls, and in one corner, an old wooden wardrobe held colorful scarves and women's clothing. Emily started carefully looking through the neatly arranged items. After searching for a while, her eyes landed on a light pink scarf with delicate hand embroidery. She said to George, "George, I like this one, but let me try it on. Where can I change?" George pointed to a curtain. "Emily, there's a small room behind there. Go try it on." Emily went in, tried the scarf, and came back out. George smiled and asked, "How's it look?" Emily made a face and said, "George, it's not that great. It feels a bit dull. Maybe I'd have found something better elsewhere." George quickly pulled out more scarves from a wooden box and said, "Emily, these just came in yesterday. Check these out. You might like them." Emily picked up a red scarf, which was truly beautiful. She went back in, tried it on, and came out with a smile on her face. She said, "George, this one's perfect. Pack it up. How much is it?" George grinned and said, "Emily, just pay whatever you can afford." Emily, surprised, said, "What's that supposed to mean, George?" "You're the shopkeeper. You tell me the price." George, in a playful tone, said, "You're a hardworking mom. How can I charge you full price? Take it. It's yours for your efforts." Emily's heart swelled. She softly said, "George, people like you are the pride of the village. God bless you." She pulled out some money and insisted he take it. With her kids' faces in her mind, she went downstairs. George, laughing, called out, "Hey, Emily, I was kidding. This scarf is just $100. Emily's face turned serious. "You just said it was free, and now you're asking for $100? George shrugged and said, "What can I do, Emily? I've got to run the shop too." Emily replied, "Then I'm not taking it. Keep it." George quickly said, "No returns. You tried it on. And we don't take back used items." Emily's face turned red with anger. "George, there's such a thing as fairness. This isn't right. Call your daughter-in-law or daughter. I'll talk to them." George laughed and said, "Emily, I don't have either. I'm all alone. Now you tell me, what should we do?" They argued for a while. Finally, Emily said, "All right, George. I'll take the scarf, but listen. When you have something to say it respectfully and we'll be done. Here's my number. Call me if you need to talk." George, with a mischievous smile, said, "Oh, Emily, if you'd given it earlier, we wouldn't have argued so much." Emily quickly grabbed the scarf and left the shop. Outside, evening had settled in, and she hurried toward her little shack on the village outskirts. When she got home, her son Ethan was standing at the door, asking, "Mom, where were you so long?" Emily smiled and said, "Oh, sweetheart, I went to get a special shirt for your birthday. It took some time." She pulled out a blue shirt from a bag and handed it to Ethan, the one she'd chosen with love. The next day was Ethan's birthday. Emily decorated the shack with colorful paper. Neighborhood kids and women gathered. Some brought sweets, someone played a harmonium, and everyone clapped and sang songs. In the middle of this joyful moment, Emily's phone rang. She saw the number and was startled. It was George. Annoyed, she said, "Come on, George. Let it go today." "It's my son's birthday. I can't come," George insisted. "Emily, you said you'd come when I called." Emily, with a slight smile, said, "I'm sorry." "George, not today, but call tomorrow, and I'll definitely come." After a bit of back and forth, George gave in, and Emily rejoined the celebration. That day, the little shack was filled with joy, light, and love. The next morning, George called again. This time, Emily decided not to go alone and took her friend Lisa with her. They arrived at Riverside's market and entered the shop. George, slightly startled, said, "Hey, Emily, I called you alone. Who's this?" Emily laughed and said, "This is Lisa. She came with me. Show her some clothes. I'm going upstairs where you called me yesterday." Saying this, Emily went upstairs. Lisa stayed in the shop. George asked her, "Lisa, what do you want to see?" Lisa said, "George, show me a nice dress or shirt, something special." George pulled out several shirts, but Lisa didn't like any of them. She said lightly, "George, I heard you keep better stuff upstairs. Why not down here?" George smiled and said, "Upstairs is a bit tight on space, so we keep the special stuff there. Come on, let's go up." Upstairs, he started showing Lisa clothes. Suddenly, Lisa asked, "Where's Emily?" George replied, "She's probably in the back room. She'll be out soon." A little later, Emily came out of the room. She looked a bit tired. She said, "George, you took too long, so I sat inside." George, with a serious tone, said, "Emily, I didn't call you today just for clothes. I want to say something else." Emily was taken aback. "What do you mean, George?" George lowered his eyes and said, "Emily, I've been alone for years, and seeing you gives me a strange sense of peace. If you're willing, I'd like to marry you." Emily was stunned. For a moment, it was like the world stopped. She stayed quiet, then said, "George, you're a good man, but I can't think about this right now." Lisa laughed and said, "Come on these days. What's age or difference? Hearts connect hearts." Emily, with a playful smirk, shot back, "Then you marry him, Lisa. You're still single?" All three burst into laughter. In that laughter was the simplicity of the village, the bitterness of life, and the innocence of relationships.